Hello everyone, I built this flow and figured I'd walk through how you could build it, and if you have any questions make sure to hit me up in the comments. What this flow does is it takes a user's IP address and then creates a lead for them on your community site. If they end up filling out the form, it updates that lead, and so we can capture their IP address as well as how many site visits they've had to our site, so we can have kind of an idea of how interested they might be in buying one of our products. So to start this off, I built a Lightning Web Component, which is an IP getter, and we set our API key to be able to send out the message to capture information about the IP. It comes back with the country, the IP address, postal code, region, and if there's any error. What I end up doing here is I have two variables, an IP address as well as a postal code. Both of those are string variables, and you can see that over here we have a handful of variables. So moving right along, we look for a matching lead that has an IP address, which is a custom field on lead that matches the IP address that we got in the first screen. We also want to make sure that they don't have a blank IP address. So we say IP address is null false. We come down to a decision point and we decide whether we found a lead with the get matching lead or not. And so we check to see if the get matching lead is null false. And then we have a default outcome which says we didn't find anything. If we didn't find anything, we come down the default outcome path and we create a lead. And this, we're setting up the different values manually for the lead, being company, first name, the IP address, last name, and the number of site visits. And we know because we haven't found a lead, this is their first site visit, so we set that value to 1. And then we manually assign the lead ID to a lead ID variable. We then open up a form that contains the first name, last name, email, phone, and company. And that all gets stored into different variables here in the assign input, where we set our variable first name, last name, phone number, captured email, and company name. And we set those to what's on screen number 5 all the way down from our form input. Finally, we update the lead with the ID being the lead ID from the created lead above, and we set everything to the variables that we set in the assign input. So the company name, email, first name, last name, phone, then it updates the lead that was created. And then we give them a thank you screen for thank you for filling out the form. Now if we go down the other path, so say we did find a lead, we come down this other path, which is and we assign the lead ID again. And that way the update, we only have to have one update for both paths. And we set the ID to the get matching lead ID. And then we have a formula that says the site visits is equal to the site visit increment, and so it adds 1 to the site visits. So if they had visited 1 time before, it would become 2. If they've been there twice before, it becomes 3, so on and so forth. We then update the lead, and we can use the one from the get matching lead because that's the same ID. We check to see if the email is blank. The reason that we do this is that if they have not filled out the form, but they have been to the website, that means that they have a lead with us, but we don't have any valuable information other than their site visits. So we check to see if the email is blank. If the email is blank, We have the same form that we had over on the other side of the flow, where we capture the information and the form's completely blank. And we do the same thing where we assign the variables: first name, last name, phone number, captured email, and company name. And again, we go down and we update the lead with those variables. If they have filled out the form before, or a form before, and we have their information, we can pre-fill this form out for them by adding in the first name, last name, their email, phone number, and company name. And we fill those with what we got from the Get Matching lead, so they don't have to type out the information again, and they can just press the submit button. And again, we come down to the update and we set all the variables again in the assignment here. And all three of these assignments are pretty similar. We have the variables, and then we set these to the screen too. So once we save this flow, in order to get it onto our website or our Experience Cloud, we have to go in, and over here on our screen flow, we have to edit the access. For simplicity's sake, I just put in all the profiles to make it so it works. You should pick and choose your profiles, but you press the override button and you select the profiles that you want to be enabled and save it. And then on our Experience Cloud site, all sites, on our Experience Cloud site, let that load up. We can add the flow that we just created after we activate it. And the way that we make it work is we go into our settings, we allow public access so guest users can interact with the site, and we go into the guest user profile, which will come up, and we go to enabled flow access. Here we select the flow, the enhanced web delete is what I ended up calling it, and we enable that. Finally, we go to our trusted URLs. You can get there by typing out CSP in the quick find, and I used ipinfo.io for the LWC. And so in order to enable it in the Experience Cloud, we need to make sure that it's a trusted URL so that they can call out to it. So the way that we do that is name the API, the URL, and then check all the boxes below, and then we can go ahead and save that. One thing that I did forget to mention, in our flow, this is running as system. The way that we end up doing that is we press on the settings button, show advanced, and then how to run the flow is system context without sharing, access all data. What this allows you to do is update the lead and create the lead all through the flow, even if you're in the guest mode or guest access. And I think that pretty well covers how this flow was built. I will add the Lightning Web Component to the description of this video, and that will allow you to make your own Lightning Web Component. And if you have any questions, again, hit me up in the comments. Really appreciate your time, and thank you for watching.